I'm here in front of the Animas River, and I'm really excited to show you guys this video today because as I was filming some of these neighborhoods, a bald eagle was flying right over the river that goes right through all of these neighborhoods. It's really incredible, really great indication of the kind of wildlife and the kind of animals that you're gonna see throughout these neighborhoods and throughout this area that we're showing you today. Now, I wanted to film this intro from this spot here to show you that right on the other side of me is Home Depot as well as Sunnyside Market, which is a great spot to get some good burgers, get a good lunch, as well as get a great steak or burger there. And I'm gonna be referencing back to this location to show you the distance to this location throughout the video, so you have a good understanding of where these neighborhoods are in relation to town, but also to just south of town, which is kind of your first amenity. Now, a few things we're gonna be going over in these neighborhood tours are going to be home prices, lot sizes. We're gonna be talking about proximity to things like I just mentioned, proximity to town, proximity to the airport, to schools. We're gonna be talking about the pros and cons of all of these neighborhoods. I'm gonna be really showcasing it with some good drone footage, some good driving footage, showing you what the roads are like, and much, much more. Let's jump into the video. Subdivision, we are here in Riverview Ranches, and I'm really excited to show you this subdivision. Firstly, because it has some stunning views throughout here. And although it doesn't have your big mountain views that you might be looking for, it has some beautiful views of these kind of ridges throughout, and it does have some mountain views as well, kind of off into the distance. Some just kind of little peaks of the La Plata Mountains in here. And what I love about it is, although you know when you see the map, it looks like it's really close to Highway 550, but you drive down this road. I'll turn around and show you this road right here. You drive down this road around the corner, and it kind of drops down below the highway, so you're really not hearing that highway noise. Now, you might hear a little bit, so if you really want it to be very quiet, this might not be the subdivision, but I would say it's like a 1 out of 10 as far as noise. Now, again, that kind of varies based on the home itself, the lot, where it's facing, etc. But overall, it's a very quiet subdivision. And I love that you've got this water access. Now, not all homes have river access in here, so let me know if there's a specific home you're looking at. By the way, guys, I'm a licensed realtor here in Durango, Southwest Colorado. Love to help you with all of your real estate needs. And while I'm talking about this subdivision, something I'd love to do for you guys is shoot a drone video as well as a walkthrough tour of any homes that you like. I was doing that all last week for several clients, and they've really been enjoying the videos. I get them uploaded within a couple hours, get them over to my clients, let them look at it, ask questions, and go from there. Also happy to shoot a neighborhood tour if there's not one on my YouTube channel, one that I haven't shot before. Anyway, let's jump back into this neighborhood. So what I love about this neighborhood as well, first of all, the views. I also love the proximity to town. It's only about 14 minutes to downtown Durango, about 15 minutes to the airport, and about 17 minutes to Durango High School. And home prices in here do really range, but the highest home sold in here was $810. Home sizes were 1911 to 2937 square feet, and lot sizes about 3 to 4 acres. Homes in here are on well, septic, and propane. And then the elevation just under 6,500 at 6,404 feet, which, as you'll notice, all of these subdivisions that we're talking about in this video are below in-town Durango's elevation. So you're gonna get about the least amount of snow that you would get in anywhere in the county. And I also want you to keep in mind, as we go through these other subdivisions, keep in mind that a lot of them are gonna be fairly close to the road, like this one, but do a pretty darn good job of not having much road noise, if any at all. So I just want to kind of prep you so that you know what to expect in the other subdivisions. We're about 21 minutes from Bayfield. We're about 41 minutes from Purgatory Ski Resort, approximately, depending on which home we're choosing to map that to. And then about an hour and a half to Wolf Creek Ski Resort. Now, you've got the Animas River Trail fairly close by, but you don't really have any trails, generally speaking, right out your back door with this subdivision. Then you're about 18 minutes to the Animas River. That's about the same distance, actually a little bit closer to the edge of the Animas River Trail, which you also can access the river there. So I think we're a little bit closer than 18 minutes, 20 minutes to Lake Nighthorse, and then your closest restaurant is going to be in town Durango at about 15 minutes. Now, in this subdivision, there are no water rights, although you are close to the river. Again, I shouldn't say again, but like some other neighborhoods that I'm going to be talking to you about, there are some homes on the river and some homes that are not on the river. Most homes, I should say a good amount of homes, do have views of the river depending on where they're at. With that in mind, a lot of these homes are kind of perched up, if you will, kind of on a cliffside. I shouldn't call it a cliffside. They kind of have a gradual incline to the lot themselves or itself. So the driveway is going to be, a lot of driveways are going to have some level of incline to them. So be aware of that as you're looking in this neighborhood. A good handful of other neighborhoods we're looking at do not have that. One of them does, but some of the other ones don't. So just keep that in mind. I always recommend people really be aware of the steepness of driveways and just the steepness of lots, because the main thing is it's not a big deal in the summer at all, but in the winter it could get icier, could just be tougher to get up that driveway. Most of these are fairly gradual, but just keep that in mind in general as you're looking at homes throughout Durango and throughout the county in general. And then with that, with those steeper lots, those lots that are graded, you're generally going to see homes that have stairs for one, maybe even have 3 stories. Also, you're going to see homes that are split level. Most of these homes are going to be split level that you're going to be seeing. And I was recently showing a property in this subdivision specifically, and that was really the downside to my clients. They were really looking for something that was either single level or had most of the living on the main level. And you drive into the driveway and then into the garage, and then you've got to go upstairs from the garage to get to the main level. Now, that's not all the homes in here, or not all the homes when you see a driveway that's steeper, but be aware that that might happen. And if you're curious and you really can't tell from the photos, just let me know and I'm happy to get you an understanding of the floor plan of the property or give you a walkthrough of the property. So I know that's a little bit more nuanced, but I think that's really good kind of moving forward throughout this video and other videos that you watch for you to be aware of that. A few other things that my clients didn't like about this neighborhood, or just the home itself that they saw. You know, of course, they didn't see every home in the neighborhood, but the home they saw, it felt like it was fairly open as far as the yard, and it wasn't very private compared to some other neighborhoods they looked at. Then I'm not sure if I mentioned there's no HOA and no covenants in this neighborhood, unlike most of the other homes that we are looking at or neighborhoods we are looking at today. All right, now we're here in one of my favorite subdivisions in this video of this entire area, and this is called Animas View Estates. Now, what I really love about this area is everybody does have access to the river. Now, I'll kind of give you a caveat. It is very tough to access it. As you can see, there's kind of this steep cliffside that you've got to hike down to get down to the river. However, you do have access to it and are allowed to access it. There's maybe about a quarter mile, maybe a little bit less of river that you can fish, unless you become friends with the neighbors that live here on the river. But of course, that's a different story. And now HOA, pretty affordable. It's just covering the road maintenance. It just went up to $600 per year. And like some of these other subdivisions we're talking about, there are about half the homes on the river and half the homes across from the river. If I turn around here and you look behind me, you can see these are pretty steep lots. And there's this lot here that does this switchback up the road. I was just talking to an owner that lives down the road. He was telling me a little bit about this lot and some other lots. Some of the trick to owning one of these lots could be getting the permit so that the fire department can get up to that road, being able to make the road to where they can get up the driveway. So keep that in mind just in general when you're looking at lots in general or properties in general. Also keep in mind those properties don't have water rights. The properties down here by the river do, because of course you don't have much flat ground on the opposite side of the road, on the east side of the road. Now let's talk about traffic noise. You really don't hear much traffic noise at all from any of these properties. As I was talking to an owner that lives here, he was saying, during the time when the motorcycles are coming through here during the summer, you do hear a little bit of that noise. Other than that, you really don't hear any traffic, even though you're fairly close to Highway 550. It's about a 22-minute drive to downtown Durango, so it's not far, but of course, if you have kids, you're driving back and forth, it can be a little bit frustrating driving that far, so you just got to decide if it's worth it for you. Now, I really like this neighborhood because of the lot sizes as well. We're at 3.45 acres up to 4.89 acres. Home size is 1742 to 3564, and the highest home sold in here is 825, although there is one on the market for just under $1 million right now. As of the time of filming this, I'm filming this on the 24th of December. Elevation 6364, so again, you're gonna get about the least amount of snow in this area compared to most parts of Durango and most parts of the county. I just mentioned HOA just covers the road, but keep in mind the neighborhood has a lot more to offer. I really love the views in this neighborhood, especially those views on the opposite side from the river. They have some really phenomenal views as you drive up those driveways up to the home site or where the homes are. And then of course on the other side, they're river frontage properties. So there are 17 homes in here in total. So the negative is you're not going to see many homes pop up on the market throughout the year, but this is definitely one to keep your eye on. I love that you don't get a lot of snow, you have river access, you have some phenomenal fishing. A lot of people do catch and release fly fishing in here. And to talk a little bit more about short-term rentals, they are not allowed in here. So 30-day minimum rentals, and then your views. I just want to kind of go back to views, talk a little bit more, say this is again kind of that Southwest feel. You kind of feel like you're in the high desert, Santa Fe type living, but I love that you do have some mountain views from some of these homes. You've got these kind of ridge views and river views from most homes. What I love is you will see some homes with ponds because of the water access here, so that is really cool as well. Now let's go over the distance to things. Durango High School about 29 minutes, City Market about 28 minutes, and I think that's actually a little bit closer now that I'm thinking about what I've got in my notes, because I checked in Strader Hotel, which is right downtown, is 22 minutes away. So I think City Market's only about a minute further. We're only just under an hour to Purgatory Ski Resort as well. Then you're 34 minutes to Lake Nighthorse. You're 14 minutes to Pastoris Reservoir, and a little bit further over to Vallecito and Lemon Reservoir as well, as they are going to be east of town. So you're going to go up 550 and then travel east from town, or you could go into Bayfield and go up that way as well. So that's going to be a little bit further. So just to recap, unlike some other neighborhoods that we're talking about, I really love that every home has access to the river. Again, that caveat is it is fairly tricky access. If you're older, if you have smaller kids, it's definitely going to be tough to get down there. It's not a very simple process to get down to the river. So I really want to make that clear, although you do have access. What I love about this are the views. A lot of these neighborhoods we're looking at either have some views or they don't have a lot of views unless they're looking at the river, and that's kind of their view. Of course, it's just very dependent on the property itself, but I love that every one of these homes really has a phenomenal view, whether they're on the river or if they're not on the river, they're perched up kind of on this ridge looking out at this beautiful view behind me here. And so it's got some great views, pretty low HOA. The negative is going to be the distance to town if that's a negative to you. Another positive is the lack of snow. Of course, we still get a lot of snow. We get on average about 65 inches of snow per year, but compared to most of Durango, you're not getting a ton of snow. If you're not aware, we haven't had barely any snow this year, as you can see. No snow on the ground. I'm filming this near the end of December, so the river's still fishing great. It's flowing nicely, and you're a little bit closer. I mentioned 22 minutes to downtown. You're a little bit closer to a few restaurants like Home Depot and Walmart. You're about 20 minutes or so to that area. Biking trails, hiking trails, you're not super close to a lot of biking and hiking trails. We are now in Deer Island Preserve. Some of my favorite things about this subdivision are, first of all, the location. Really close to town. You're about 8 minutes to Sunnyside Market, Home Depot, Walmart, some of those other amenities in Durango. And then you're just a few more minutes to downtown Durango, about 4 minutes to City Market, about four more minutes to City Market at about 12 minutes, and then about 15 minutes to Durango High School from this subdivision. Again, it kind of varies based on the address that we're pulling to get that distance. Based on traffic, if it's winter, it might be a little bit slower. But let's talk about location again. Most of these properties in general that we're showing you today are at lower elevation. So this property is under 7,000 feet, right around 6,500. I'll double check that in a minute, but you're getting about the lowest amount of snow that you're getting in Durango. And then let's talk a few stats for you. Highest home sold in here, 2.65 million. Home sizes 2535 to 5245 square feet. And what I love about this neighborhood again is homes are nicely spread out. 9.78 acres up to 13.6 acres. Homes are on well, septic, and propane out here. Then going back to that elevation, 6453 elevation, so hair under 65, which in town Durango is 6512. So it just drops down a little bit here. so you are getting less snow than in town, or especially your higher elevation areas in Durango. So what I love about this area is it is also fairly flat, usable land. So you're getting less snow, fairly usable land, still close to town, and getting almost 10 plus acres, or in some lots 10 plus acres here. So I think that really differentiates this neighborhood from most neighborhoods anywhere close within that, call it 15-minute radius of downtown Durango. Now, let's talk a little bit more about kind of the amenities here. Now, just like a lot of these neighborhoods we're talking about, a majority of the homes are on the river. Absolutely phenomenal. I love being on the river. You are gonna have a little bit of airport traffic, but it's not the main airport. There's Animas Air Park, so it's gonna be a lot of smaller little planes flying around. You're not gonna hear much noise from them, but just wanna point that out if noise is a concern. You do hear a little bit of traffic here, and you do have some nice mountain views. They're not big, bold, huge, in-your-face mountain views from here, but you do have some mountain views. What I would really describe this area is kind of that Santa Fe style, that high desert living. A lot of pinon trees like you can see behind me and you see in the videos that we're sharing with you. The HOA fees are $250 per year. Again, that's at the time of filming this. And what the HOA covers: snow removal, fishing rights, and road maintenance is gonna be the main thing. So you do have dirt roads in here, but fairly flat dirt roads, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that, unless dirt roads is just a big no for you. But I really would consider this neighborhood if that was your only concern. And then you've got 41 minutes to Purgatory Ski Resort, approximately. Again, it kind of varies based on the amount of snow we're getting, based on any ice on the roads. Bayfield, you're about 23 minutes away. And then Wolf Creek, hour 35. And you've got some great access to trails. Again, you're about 8 minutes to Home Depot, which is where the end of the Animas River Trail is, and some great public fishing as well. So you've got access to the river right there, about 8 minutes away. The Animas River Trail is awesome, guys. I didn't really mention in this video, especially if this is your first time to the channel. Animas River Trail is about an 8.9 mile river trail, kind of a long, flowy, relatively gradual hilly terrain throughout that. And what's amazing is you can, pull over your bike or get off your bike, go into a restaurant, grab a beer, grab a lunch, and then get back on your bike and keep riding. There's some parks along the way. It's just a really cool river trail, and they are somewhat extending it. So the north end of the river trail is not going to be a river trail per se, but they bought some land. The city recently purchased some land at the end of that river trail where it's going to continue. So there's Oxbow Preserve, which is about 1.5 miles of dirt trail, and they're going to continue that at some point. So I love this location because you're close to the end of that trail where you can get on and use that. And then we were talking about fishing access. You're also about 17 minutes to Lake Nighthorse, an amazing lake to take the family. They've got some great amenities for kids. They've got kind of an inflatable playground area, I kind of call it. And they've got lifeguards, they've got a little beach. A lot of people go there in the morning, set up, have their towels out, have their, we bring our kids there to play, and they allow boats. They've got buoys to swim. My dad and I love going swimming out there. So really great amenity as well. And I'm gonna read a few details from a previous listing in this subdivision so you can kind of get a feel for what people are saying about it. So the fishing rights are just amazing here. I know that this section of river is really, really good, really fishable, great fishing here. You've got privacy, views, irrigation rights, large pond. And then let's see, they have access to 3/4 mile of fishing of the most coveted trout fishing section on the Animas, just like I was discussing. And then you've got snowshoeing, cross-country skiing access, and no horses are allowed. Short-term rentals are not allowed as well, 30-day minimum. Let's talk a little bit about nature. You're definitely gonna see some deer, you're gonna see eagles, you're gonna see hawks, you're gonna see red-tailed hawks, you see other kinds of hawks, you're gonna see rabbits, other small game. You might see some elk, probably not, but you'll definitely see a lot of deer through here, hence the name. The road is maintained annually by the gas company exchange for access to their gas well. So those HOA dues are quite a bit more reasonable than in a lot of other subdivisions. So I want to make sure to point that out as well. Now we're here in Adobe Cliffs, and I really like this subdivision for several reasons. First of all, it's right on the river. Now, of course, most of these subdivisions, really all these subdivisions are right on the river, but I really love this section of the river itself. itself flows really nicely, has some great fishing in it, just some great structure to the water. And I also really love the proximity to town. And you're even closer to places like Home Depot, Sunnyside Market, which has some great burgers, some great food. And Sunnyside Market and Home Depot are right at the end of the Animas River Trail. So you're also even closer to the Animas River Trail, and you're not backed up to any hiking trails per se, but you're fairly close to that trail as well as some other trails within a 5, 6, 7 minute driving distance from here as well. Now, this is definitely a different neighborhood than you'll see up north. You'll see neighborhoods up north with a lot of grass, cottonwood trees, some aspens. They'll have those big red cliff views, and you don't have that here. So this is a lot more, the way I'll describe it is a lot more like a Santa Fe type feel, a little bit more Southwest feel here, a little bit more desertous. You'll see a lot more pinon trees, as you can see in the videos that I'm showing you and behind me. Dirt roads in here, and there's not very many homes in here. I'd say there's under 20 homes. I don't have the exact number written down, but lot sizes really range 1671 to 4441 square feet, or sorry, that was home sizes, but then lot sizes range as well from 7.85 up to 13.36 acres. Lots are on on a community well, and then they do have septic. Sorry, I'll take that back. Some of them are on community well, and then some of them have their own well. Got septic, propane, and then La Plata Electric. Elevation 6414. So regarding snow, you're gonna get about the least amount of snow of anywhere in Durango, as well as, downtown Durango is gonna get about a similar amount of snow as here, and it kind of starts going down as you get south of downtown Durango. Then the highest home sold in here was sold at 2.245 million, at least as of the time of filming this video, which is in the end of 2024. All right, now let's talk about the HOA a little bit. So HOA is going to include water, snow removal, fishing rights, management of the roads, or I should say road maintenance as well. And then you've got some really nice views, but not those kind of views that you might picture having big expansive mountain views. You've just got some nice kind of ridges around you, as you'll see in the videos that I'm providing to you. It's a little bit of an unassuming neighborhood as you drive in. And then when you get into the lots and into the homes, the views are very stunning because a lot of these have either riverfront views or they have that second story where it kind of opens up and you're looking towards downtown Durango. You can't quite see it, but you're looking that direction. And then of course, a lot of these homes do have river views. Now, about half, maybe a little bit less than half of these homes do not have river views or are not riverfront, so keep that in mind as well. That's gonna be the same for most of these neighborhoods. Some of these neighborhoods are gonna be on the river, whereas others won't be. Then I wanna kind of go into distance to things. So right downtown Durango, right in the middle of downtown Durango is about 11 minutes away. The airport is about 18 minutes away. Durango High School about 14. These are all approximate. They're depending on where you're pulling, which address you're pulling and taking to that location. Then Purgatory Ski Resort, you're under 40 minutes or approximately 40 minutes, I should say. Wolf Creek, you're about an hour 34, hour 35. All right, now let's talk distance to water. So you're only about 17 minutes away from Lake Nighthorse. So this is fairly close to Lake Nighthorse compared to other homes around Lake Nighthorse. You'll see on the map with Lake Nighthorse, there are homes really close to it, but you still have to drive all the way around it to get into Lake Nighthorse itself. There aren't any homes on Lake Nighthorse where you can just walk down to the lake. And again, you are even closer to the Animas River Trail. And so you're about 15 minutes from Pastoris Reservoir. And again, your closest restaurant is gonna be downtown. Actually, is not gonna be downtown Durango. Your closest restaurant is gonna be probably Sunnyside Market, right as you're getting towards Home Depot, really close to Home Depot and that area as you're getting close to the highway. And then your other restaurants, all of your maybe higher end, nicer restaurants are going to be downtown Durango at about 11 minutes away approximately. Now there is a community trail here that's leading to fishing or just being able to enjoy the river, about 400 feet of gold medal Animas riverfront. So that really is something to be desired. Very coveted thing, being able to have just the access to the Animas River in general is pretty incredible because of course you can fish in town, but once you get south of town, it's all or mostly all private water. And then just to tell you a little bit more about it, let's see, there is another listing that I found that shows 900 feet of riverbank. So it's between 400 and 900. So I just want to kind of recap some of the pros and cons of this neighborhood. There is a road that is going by the neighborhood where traffic is a little bit higher speed, 40 to 50 miles an hour. Traffic could be going by, but most lots again are that 11 to 14 acre range. So you're not hearing much traffic, although you will hear a little. I have clients that say I really don't want to hear any traffic at all. It's going to be dependent on where the home is located in this neighborhood regarding if you're going to hear any traffic. Regarding getting insurance, I think it's going to be fairly doable just based on my knowledge of this location, fire risk, etc. Of course, I always recommend just checking with an insurance agent, asking them kind of my spiel on insurance. I'll just say this, try to just say this once for this whole video, is if you talk to 3 or 4 insurance agents, some might not insure the property and some will. It's just because a lot of Durango has a much higher fire risk, but I really recommend talking to people before you start actually going under contract on the specific property. A few other cons of this neighborhood are just going to be there's not very many homes here, right? You're under 20 homes, I believe, in this subdivision. All very incredible homes, but not a ton of homes to choose from, so you might see 1 or 2 on the market throughout the whole year. It does have dirt roads, so if you really don't want dirt roads, if you don't want to be washing your car, that's a thing. But of course in the winter, I would point out that I don't think it's a big deal. You know, you will get some mud, but I don't think it's that big of a deal in the winter because you are at lower elevation as well here. The other con is keep in mind some homes in here are not right on the river. This is not a neighborhood with all riverfront properties, but going back to the pros, you still will have access to the river here. So I think that covers it. The big pro is you're less than 10 minutes to the Animas River Trail, to a nice little restaurant, to Home Depot, and then you're about 11 minutes to downtown Durango from here, whereas all of the other neighborhoods, I believe all the other neighborhoods we're talking about today are gonna be a little bit further away from downtown Durango. Now, as you know, normally I like to be right outside of the neighborhood before I start talking about a neighborhood, but the next neighborhood on the list is Animas River Ranch, and this neighborhood is right off of a busier road. We'll put this up on the map on the screen. We'll put a map on the screen right now to show you that. And so a little bit hard to stand outside of this neighborhood and talk about it, and it only has a few homes in the neighborhood, but I wanted to make sure to talk about it. So we're here talking about it where the traffic isn't quite as loud, and let's just lead into that obvious point that you are going to hear some traffic. I love that you've got no HOA, no covenants, you've got bigger acreage here. The downside is that road. You are going to hear some traffic from these lots, so if that's a big negative to you, just cross this area off your list because it's not going to vary too much. But if there's a home that pops on the market, I definitely recommend you have me go take a look at it for you if you're out of town, or coming to take a look at it if you're not, because prices do tend to come down as you get out of, you know, that 15-minute bubble from downtown Durango. And then again, you've got some really great just access to seeing wildlife. You've got bald eagles flying by, you've got red-tailed hawks, you're going to have deer, you're going to have the occasional elk come through here. And then negative again is just distance to town, but you might be the kind of person that doesn't care. So I hope that helps, just kind of highlighting this neighborhood as well. Double checking my notes, see if there's anything else. I think just having the access to the river is phenomenal. All of these homes, all these homes do have access to the river in this small little subdivision. Again, that kind of limiting factor is going to be, is there something on the market when you're looking, or is there anybody open to selling? So reach out to me if you have questions about this neighborhood or any others that we're talking about, and we can always check, do some marketing, see if somebody's open to selling that's off market as well. Now let's just kind of lead into that obvious point in that you are going to hear some traffic from these properties, but it's not Highway 550. So you're not going to hear a ton of traffic, and these properties are a little bit bigger as far as acreage as well. So they are going to be right around 10-acre lots. So that is going to help, and you're facing the river from the back deck. Now home sizes in here are really range from 960 square feet all the way up to 4,490. Well, septic, and they are on propane as well. And then let's talk elevation. So they're 82 feet elevation, so almost below 6,000 feet elevation. And of course, you're not going to get nearly the snow that you're going to get in most higher elevation areas in the county. Now there is no HOA here. You are allowed to have cattle, horse, poultry, sheep, swine. So this is not a very limiting neighborhood compared to a lot of other areas. Now, really the limiting factor is, can you find a home here? So there's only a few homes in this neighborhood, and so that's really what's going to limit you here. Now, regarding are short-term rentals allowed? I do believe they are allowed, but I did see some information saying no, so they might be working on changing that. But as of the time of filming this, the information I could find was that they were allowed. Now, let's just talk a little bit more about just the proximity to things, the location, the amenities. I really like this area, again, because you just have a little bit more space. If you really want to get away from town, have less limitations as far as having cows, horses, sheep, things like that, you can do that, but you are further away from town. So you're about 27 minutes to downtown Durango, about 28 minutes to the airport, right around 30 minutes to get groceries to City Market, Albertsons, Natural Grocers, to all the grocery stores in Durango. So this is going to be one of the furthest neighborhoods from downtown Durango, as it's further south going towards the border, although you are closer to Farmington at this point. We'll put that up on the screen. So you do have the access to Farmington as far as you've got bigger grocery stores, you've got Sam's Club there, really cheap membership there. I want to say it's around 50 bucks for a membership. And so you've got all of that access when you're closer to the border. Then skiing, 55 minutes, hour 49 away from Wolf Creek. You are closer to a lot of hiking, biking trails down in Farmington as well. You've got Alien Run, you've got some other awesome trails down in Farmington that are really well known. Now, if you guys are even thinking about moving to Durango, Southwest Colorado, Pagosa Springs, Hesperus, Bayfield, any of this area, please reach out. Days, nights, weekends, I'd love to help you with all of your real estate needs. I'm a licensed realtor here in Colorado as well as New Mexico. Also, please make sure to subscribe so that you see the videos coming out in the future.